Imagine a world where every single human has vanished. No honking cars, no buzzing phones, no blinking screens, no lights to pierce the darkness. Just silence, the kind that feels so complete it presses against your ears. Now, picture standing in the middle of Times Square, or any major city, and looking up at what should be a sky ablaze with neon signs, billboards, and streetlights. But instead, nothing. Pure, creeping darkness begins to claim the streets, the sidewalks, the skyscrapers. The hum of electricity that once defined the city is gone. How long would it take before the last light humanity ever created flickered and died? When would the world fall into true, unbroken darkness? Let's explore this chilling thought experiment. We'll start with the lights closest to us, the electric bulbs in our homes, offices, and street lamps. Modern electricity is a delicate dance of power plants, substations, transformers, and miles of cables, all coordinated by human operators and increasingly sophisticated automated systems. If humans were to disappear overnight, these systems wouldn't collapse immediately. Some power plants, especially nuclear or hydroelectric ones, might continue producing electricity for a little while, humming along as if nothing happened. But this won't last. Nuclear plants, for instance, are built with fail-safes to prevent disasters. Without humans to manage them, automatic shutdown systems would eventually trigger, and the reactors would go silent. Fossil fuel plants, meanwhile, would sputter along until they ran out of fuel or their automatic controls shut them down. Even in the short term, the electric grid is remarkably fragile. A few hours of unattended operation, and we'd begin to see blackouts spreading across neighborhoods. Within a day, large portions of cities would be dark. Within a week, almost all city lights would have failed. Streetlights designed to turn on and off automatically might linger a few more days, powered by backup generators or solar panels, but even these would soon succumb to rusted circuits, dead batteries, and mechanical failure. Within a month, the vast majority of the human-made electric lights on Earth would be extinguished. But electricity isn't the only light we've made. Think about flashlights, battery-powered lanterns, candles, and gas lamps. Battery-powered devices could keep glowing for days or even weeks, depending on the power source, but eventually chemical energy runs out. A single AA battery in an LED flashlight can keep it burning for tens of hours if the device is left on continuously, but most batteries would die long before that if left unattended. Candles, one of humanity's oldest artificial lights, burn for hours or at most, a few days if stockpiled. Even in a world overflowing with abandoned candles and battery-powered lamps, every last one would eventually fade, leaving only darkness behind. And yet, even as the last candle melts and the final battery dies, light itself isn't gone. The sun, our ever-present star, continues to shine, casting its warmth and brilliance across the planet. Daytime would carry on, unaffected by humanity's absence, illuminating mountains, oceans, forests, and deserts alike. But night would be different. Cities that once glowed like constellations would now allow the night sky to reclaim its brilliance. Stars, planets, and distant galaxies, long obscured by light pollution, would suddenly become visible to any surviving observer, or to anyone imagining the view. The natural night sky, once hidden by human activity, would shine unimpeded for millennia. Let's explore some extremes. Consider a city like New York. Within hours of humanity's disappearance, Times Square would fall dark as power plants shut down and automated systems fail. LEDs on billboards would flicker and die. The last glow of a battery-powered street lamp might persist for days, but eventually, it too would go out. Buildings filled with offices, apartments, and shopping centers would sit in total darkness, the electric hum replaced by the quiet groaning of metal cooling and the faint sound of wind through broken windows. Even outside cities, the story is just as dramatic. Rural areas powered by small grids or generators would fall dark sooner, as fuel runs out and systems fail. Abandoned farms might have solar panels that continue to capture sunlight for a while, but without humans to maintain them, dust, weather, and mechanical issues would render them useless. The last remnants of human-made illumination, battery-powered devices left behind in homes, barns, and factories, would eventually flicker out, leaving a planet slowly surrendering to night. Now think bigger. What about lighthouses, which have guided sailors for centuries? Many lighthouses are automated and solar-powered. In the absence of humans, some could continue to function for months, warning ghost ships that will never arrive. But eventually, batteries die, maintenance is neglected, and even these persistent lights fade, the oceans returning to natural darkness. Even beyond Earth, humans have sent light into space. Satellites reflect sunlight and transmit signals that can be detected by radio telescopes. For a time, the faint electronic pulses of humanity would continue orbiting the planet, but without maintenance, satellites break down, fall out of orbit, and die silently in space. Even this echo of human illumination is temporary. Yet there is something poetic here. Humanity's lights, ephemeral though they are, were never meant to last forever. In a world without humans, darkness would not just be an absence, it would be a canvas. Forests would grow through abandoned neighborhoods, vines would creep over rusting skyscrapers, and animals would reclaim streets once filled with traffic. The absence of artificial light would allow nature to breathe, to reclaim the world in its own rhythm. Bioluminescent creatures in oceans and forests might become the new sources of faint illumination, flickering softly like stars on Earth itself. Even the idea of the last light can take on cosmic dimensions. Some radioactive elements, whether in abandoned nuclear plants or naturally occurring minerals, emit faint glows for thousands of years. Deep underground, these might be the only lights left, invisible to the naked eye but detectable to instruments sensitive enough to pick them up. For most living, or imagining, beings on the planet's surface, however, the last light humanity created would be gone in a few weeks, months, or at most a few decades. Finally, consider time on a cosmic scale. The sun itself will not last forever. In billions of years, it will exhaust its nuclear fuel, swell into a red giant, and finally collapse into a white dwarf, leaving the solar system cold and dark. But for the purposes of our experiment, for the time frame of civilizations, the lights we made, our symbols of energy, civilization, and warmth, would vanish almost immediately. Weeks for most lights, months for the most persistent, leaving a world gradually sliding into unbroken darkness. By the end of the first few years, the Earth would be almost completely dark at night, illuminated only by distant celestial bodies, fireflies, bioluminescent organisms, and the occasional faint glow of decaying radioactive material. Cities would become silent ruins, forests reclaiming streets, rivers flowing unimpeded by dams or canals, and the night sky glittering with stars as it had for millions of years before humanity ever existed. The last light of humanity, a flicker that once defined our civilizations, would have faded into history, leaving the planet to continue spinning in silence and darkness, indifferent to the species that once filled it with light. As the years pass, the absence of human light becomes absolute. Nature, which has been hemmed in by asphalt, concrete, and neon signs, begins to reclaim the world. Trees grow through abandoned streets, their roots cracking sidewalks and foundations. Vines creep up the sides of buildings, slowly wrapping steel and glass in green living armor. Animals roam freely, exploring cities as if they were forests, rivers, and plains, now open to them without fences, cars, or humans to fear. And still, the planet grows darker each night as the final remnants of human illumination disappear. Even industrial lights that persisted for months or years, such as lights powered by solar panels, hydroelectric microgrids, or long-lasting batteries, eventually fail. Panels become dirty and damaged, mechanical systems break down, and chemical batteries reach the end of their life. The last stubborn glows in lighthouses, factories, or remote research stations sputter out. The world, once a patchwork of artificial brightness, finally succumbs to natural night. But this is not just empty darkness. It is a return to a primordial rhythm, a sky unspoiled by light pollution, a planet that once again lives and breathes according to the sun, moon, and stars. Yet the story of the last light doesn't end at Earth. Consider the faint electromagnetic pulses humanity has sent into space: radio waves, television signals, and satellite communications. For a few decades, these signals travel outward, a glowing echo of a civilization now vanished. Ships and satellites continue to orbit briefly before falling, decaying, or breaking apart. For a short time, the universe will carry a whisper of humanity's presence, before even this fades into cosmic silence. In the oceans, phosphorescent organisms, bioluminescent jellyfish, plankton, and deep-sea creatures provide the last flickers of illumination. These natural lights, millions of years in evolution, now dominate a world free of human interference. Night on Earth becomes a canvas of faint, shimmering glows, not from electricity or fire, but from life itself. And slowly, even these lights are dwarfed by the natural cycles of the planet. Moonlight reflecting off oceans, stars blazing in the sky, the auroras dancing over polar regions. Deep underground, the faint glow of radioactive decay continues for thousands of years. In abandoned nuclear plants, storage facilities, or naturally occurring deposits, faint lights persist, invisible to the naked eye but detectable by instruments. These are the last remnants of human-made illumination, a ghostly shimmer of a species long gone. For most observers on the surface, however, such glows are irrelevant. The last light in the human sense, our fire, our electricity, our inventions, has been extinguished. Time stretches further. Decades turn into centuries. Forests cover cities entirely. Roofs collapse, walls crumble, and metal rusts into unrecognizable forms. Without maintenance, dams break, roads are swallowed by vegetation, and canals become rivers again. Night after night, the sky is free from the haze of human activity. The Milky Way, once invisible from most populated regions, now arches overhead in breathtaking clarity. The world, unlit by human hands, begins to resemble what it looked like millions of years before humans ever existed. And if we extend this thought to millennia, the world transforms further. The oceans reclaim coastlines, rivers carve new paths through abandoned lands, and deserts spread into former farmland. Life continues its slow, patient rhythm, indifferent to the humans that once illuminated and dominated it. The earth rotates in silence, the cycles of day and night unbroken, the sun rising and setting without acknowledgement of the species that once shaped the planet. The ultimate last light isn't just on Earth. Billions of years from now, the sun itself will burn out, expanding into a red giant and eventually collapsing into a white dwarf. Planets, moons, and satellites will freeze in the absence of solar energy. Stars themselves will burn through their fuel and fade. On a cosmic scale, all light, natural and human-made, will eventually extinguish, leaving the universe in deep, cold darkness. But on human timescales, the last light created by humans dies far sooner. Weeks, months, decades. Just a fleeting heartbeat in the planet's history. Cities become silent ruins. Streets and highways are overgrown. The night sky, once hidden behind the glow of civilization, shines uninterrupted, stars sparkling like diamonds across an endless black canvas. There's a strange beauty in this. Humanity's lights were fleeting, yet they marked a period of intelligence, curiosity, and energy. Their disappearance doesn't erase the world, it restores it to a state of natural balance. Rivers flow, forests grow, animals thrive, and the universe's vast, indifferent beauty continues uninterrupted. In the end, the last light doesn't vanish with a dramatic explosion. It fades gradually, a gentle dimming, leaving the earth illuminated only by the sun, moon, stars, and the quiet glow of life itself. So, when would the last light go out? In terms we can grasp almost immediately. The lights that humanity created, the electric grids, streetlights, candles, flashlights, and neon signs, would be gone in days, weeks, or at most a few decades. After that, the world would exist in darkness at night, broken only by natural light from celestial sources or bioluminescent creatures. Cities would crumble silently, forests would reclaim streets, and the night sky would finally reclaim its rightful brilliance. On a cosmic scale, human light is nothing but a fleeting shimmer, yet for the brief moments it existed, it defined a planet and a species. And once it fades, the earth continues, patient and indifferent, spinning through darkness, a silent witness to a civilization that once burned brightly, now gone forever.